Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking, well, a truly monumental stack of professional history. We're talking 30-plus years, along with continuous training, certifications, and even some deeply held philosophical ideas, and we're mapping it all out. We want to see how it creates the blueprint, really, of an elite global leader. Our focus is Bonita Payton.
Right.
Her journey, it spans, the deep operational trenches of IT and huge Fortune 500 companies, all the way through to becoming a best-selling author, a corporate consultant, and even CEO of her own publishing house. Quite the arc.
It really is. And our mission today, it's specifically about unpacking this really dense volume of experience. We want to show why she's defined, and I think rightly so, as a top candidate for pretty much any high-level strategic leadership role.
Okay.
We're looking beyond just the job titles here. We want to find the synthesis, that moment where the technical expertise, the constant leadership training, and that battle-tested operational success all came together, forged what she calls the unbreakable, unapologetic, unstoppable approach.
Right. That phrase really stands out.
It does. And the key challenge, I think, for us today is showing you, the listener, how these roles, like elite global service delivery leader or strategic funnel architect, they're just separate jobs. They're chapters. Chapters in one cohesive, really potent leadership story.
And I think the really compelling takeaway we want to promise you is seeing how those early frontline hands-on roots in operations, established decades ago, how they directly informed and frankly enabled the kind of high-level strategic thinking and crisis management power she has today.
Exactly. It wasn't just about climbing the ladder based on seniority, right?
No, not at all. It feels like she engineered her success.
Yeah.
Mastered every technical bit, every managerial skill, even the psychological components you need for real executive influence. Okay, so let's unpack this foundation. Let's see where it all began.
Right. To really get the scale of the global service delivery manager she eventually became, we absolutely have to start with that technical and, interestingly, legal DNA established way back in her education. Her foundational studies, they seem like a very deliberate pairing. You've got the hard technology side, but also this understanding of structural governance.
Yeah, that's fascinating, because you see the early studies in computer information systems, right? Kicked off at Grambling State University, then a diploma from Louisiana Business College. That's between 85 and 87.
Okay.
So that establishes the core IT skill set, the nuts and bolts of how systems work. But then almost immediately after that technical grounding, there's this, strategic pivot. She earns a paralegal diploma from Southern Technical College in 1991.
And that pairing, that early pairing, is just hugely instructive, I think, for any modern leader. The paralegal training, okay, it didn't make her a lawyer.
Right.
But it clearly instilled this rigorous understanding of compliance, documentation, the legal implications, regulatory frameworks, all that stuff.
Stuff that becomes critical later.
Absolutely. That foundation, built way back in 91, it provides the underlying context for why she was so effective decades later, managing those really high-stakes security and compliance regimes, like GDPR, PCI, DSS, at places like Webster Bank.
Okay, hey, the connection.
It proves she thinks about technology not just as code or hardware, but as a system operating within a legal and regulatory structure. That's a different level of thinking.
And that commitment to, let's call it academic continuity, it seems relentless. I mean, while holding down demanding full-time corporate IT jobs, she keeps circling back to formal education. Multiple associate's degrees from Macomb Community College, business administration awarded in 2015, and marketing, get this, as recently as 2022.
Wow, 2022, that's recent.
It shows she's constantly making sure her tech expertise is framed by this wider understanding. The financial sides, the commercial realities of the whole business ecosystem.
And this deep foundational knowledge, it wasn't just theoretical, right? It was immediately applied, tested in really critical hands-on roles all through the late 90s and early 2000s. We see years spent in roles like executive desktop support, technical team lead at major high-pressure companies, Reliant Energy, Safeway, IBM Enterprise, and Transocean Offshore Drilling. Big names.
Big names, high stakes. And this is where you see that transition, I think, from pure technician to, a service delivery expert. She was right there in the trenches, providing, 24/7 support in these really demanding environments. Traders, senior execs, dealing with everything from proprietary software to locking down corporate hardware. The scope was huge.
Yeah, covering executive desktop support, service desk operations, asset management, security administration, even mobility.
And that frontline exposure, it must have taught her not just how to fix the systems, but how to communicate during a crisis, how to manage expectations when the pressure is really on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the ability to manage systems at that level, that's the key to scalability later on. Think about her time at Sears and automated benefit services as a system administrator.
Okay.
This wasn't just helping one user with a password reset. This was managing infrastructure, the complex interactions between operating systems, network services, application layers. It's deep operational stuff.
So that route ensures that when she eventually moves into global management, she's not just working from theory. She knows exactly what the effort is, what the risks are, right there on the front line.
Precisely. She's been there. But maybe the perfect anecdotal highlight that really defines this early intense period is her role at Transocean Offshore Drilling. That was between 1999 and 2001.
Yeah, and this wasn't exactly a stable corporate office park environment, was it?
Not at all. High stakes, mission-critical operations, often located on offshore rigs, very sensitive environments.
Okay.
And it was during this period, May 2000 to be exact, that the infamous I Love You virus broke out globally. Major event.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. Caused chaos.
Total chaos. And our research material, it explicitly notes that she was the key leader on site. She led the containment and resolution effort across those really sensitive, high-consequence offshore rigs and the corporate offices.
Okay, that's huge responsibility.
Huge. But what really stands out isn't just that she succeeded, it's the speed. She apparently mitigated this global threat and got service continuity back within 3 hours of the outbreak hitting them.
3 hours. For a global virus outbreak across offshore rigs, that's not luck.
No way. That's exceptional technical foresight. It suggests pre-planned operational playbooks were likely in place. And it shows decisive, authoritative crisis leadership. She delivered critical IT service continuity when the entire business was essentially on the line.
Wow. That kind of experience, that hands-on crisis management, you can see how that would naturally catalyze her move into more formal, larger-scale management.
Exactly. As a regional desktop support manager at ITC Holdings, that was 2013 to 2016, she moved from just technical execution to technical leadership, managing the people, managing the process.
And her responsibilities, they broadened significantly there, right? We're talking mentoring, staff development, handling work schedules, plus still doing complex technical troubleshooting across multiple sites. And crucially, the sources highlight her proficiency with key enterprise infrastructure components, things like Active Directory.
Core identity system for Windows networks, yeah.
Right. And VoIP, voice over IP systems,
Yep.
SCCM, and Citrix Director. These are big, complex systems.
They really are. And let's just briefly contextualize SCCM for you listening. SCCM, System Center Configuration Manager, it's basically an essential tool for managing the entire life cycle of thousands, maybe tens of thousands of computers and devices in a large corporation.
Okay.
So the fact that she was managing teams using these tools effectively, it means she mastered the art of managing the technology, yes, but also the people and the processes needed to keep all those corporate endpoints stable, secure, and functional at scale.
So this stage proves she could take that deep technical knowledge she gained, like during the virus crisis, and apply it effectively as a manager of infrastructure delivery.
Exactly. That technical discipline, the kind she enforced during the virus crisis, it wasn't just about incident management. It feels like it was the psychological groundwork that allowed her to pull off the incredible strategic turnaround we see coming up next in her corporate career.
Okay, so now we move into what you could call the corporate zenith. This is the period where she took all those hard-won frontline skills and started applying them on a truly global scale. Multi-billion-dollar environments. This is while working for Tata Consultancy Services, TCS, serving these massive Fortune 500 clients.
The scope just explodes here.
Right, from regional infrastructure to global strategic service transformation.
And this period is absolutely crucial for demonstrating that scalability, that resilience, under truly enormous financial pressure. She was managing global service delivery for colossal accounts. We're talking NBC Universal, Reynolds Consumer Products, Cardinal Health, Webster Bank, huge names. Huge. And these are environments where even slight service degradation, it translates directly into millions of dollars in losses. Potentially serious regulatory violations, too. The pressure is immense.
Let's spend some real time on the NBC Universal turnaround. That was between 2019 and 2021. The source material says she was brought in specifically to stabilize a major IT program, a $5.2 billion operation that was significantly underperforming. It sounds like it was, well, a broken account.
It was more than just stabilizing an account, I think. It sounds like implementing a complete culture and process shift. She created and executed something she called her Get to Green plan.
Okay.
And the result, she achieved critical service level agreement, SLA, compliance within just 3 months of taking over.
3 months for a $5.2 billion program.
Yeah. It proves she's like an organizational doctor,
Yeah.
specializing in swift, data-driven fixes for systemic failures. She clearly knows how to identify the root cause, whether it's process, tech, or people, and fix it fast.
And the high watermark of this role, it seems inextricably linked to a global crisis, the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right. While she's in the middle of stabilizing this massive, already troubled account, the world effectively shuts down. And her key operational feat, according to the sources, transitioning the entire global service desk, the absolute vital pulse of the whole operation, to a fully remote model.
Okay, and the time frame?
Within 5 hours.
5 hours.
5 hours. Just think about the complexity there. Ensuring network capacity, distributing hardware, reconfiguring security protocols for potentially thousands of agents, maintaining communication.
That was zero downtime.
Zero downtime. And critically, no increase in abandoned calls. People could still get through. This wasn't just, flipping a switch.
Oh, kidding.
It required deep foresight into the system architecture and probably an intimate, trusting relationship with her team and their capabilities. It's really the ultimate proof that her technical mastery is paired with profound operational agility, especially under extreme duress.
I was really struck by the fact that immediately after this monumental crisis management and stabilization effort, she pivots. She goes to a completely different challenge. The greenfield build for Reynolds Consumer Products in 2021. What does that dual capability, fixing broken things versus creating new things, tell us about her versatility?
Well, it tells us she's a true architect, doesn't it? After Reynolds separated from Pactiv, she was tasked with building a fully operational IT support environment, essentially from nothing.
Right, greenfield.
Greenfield state means zero existing process, zero defined structure, no dedicated staff for the new entity yet. Her role was pure structural creation, establishing a global IT support model, a service desk, defining all the crucial SLAs and KPIs, and implementing the necessary ITIL-based ITSM processes.
And just to remind everyone, ITIL, the Information Technology Infrastructure Library, that's the global gold standard framework for managing IT services. It involves complex processes like incident management,
Fixing things fast, problem management,
stopping things from breaking again.
and change management, ensuring new stuff doesn't crash the business.
Yeah, so she built this entire foundation from scratch. Leveraged modern tech like Microsoft 365, VDI, virtual desktop infrastructure, Intune, SCCM, for this digital workplace transformation.
Right. It demonstrates she's equally adept at stabilizing these huge existing, sometimes broken behemoths, as she is at designing and constructing entirely new, efficient global IT systems from the ground up, fixer and builder.
That focus on structure, on compliance, it brings us right back to her expertise in security and governance, which is obviously vital in regulated sectors like banking.
Absolutely.
At Webster Bank, she served as the service delivery manager specifically for Identity Access Management, or IAM. That was for about 9 months, late 2021 to mid-2022.
Yeah, and the IAM role, it's so foundational to enterprise security. Here's why it matters strategically. IAM is basically the digital balancer for all your corporate systems.
Good analogy.
It involves overseeing the entire user access control system, managing the life cycle of user identities, giving access when needed, removing it instantly when someone leaves or changes roles. Crucial for minimizing insider threats and preventing unauthorized access.
And this role also included implementing single sign-on SSO solutions, right?
Yeah.
Making it easier for users, but also reducing the attack surface?
Correct. And critically, she was responsible for ensuring adherence to those major international regulations we mentioned earlier. GDPR, Europe's Data Protection Regulation, and PCI DSS, the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard.
Okay.
This work demands an understanding of compliance that goes way beyond just technical admin. It touches on legal liability, governance. If you mess up GDPR or PCI DSS, the financial and reputational consequences can be catastrophic.
And we have evidence, direct evidence, that this understanding wasn't static for her. She was proactively connecting the dots between the technical execution and the legal strategy. Well, she completed specialized leadership essentials courses in August 2023, focused specifically on security implications. Courses like managing access, planning business continuity, and this one really stands out, understanding contract and legal implications of security noncompliance.
Ah, okay. That's the hallmark of an elite candidate right there. She isn't just fixing the problem in front of her, she's continuously educating herself on the legal and strategic consequences of that problem. It shows she approaches leadership from a holistic risk management perspective, making sure technology serves the business without violating critical compliance mandates. That's mature leadership.
And that rigorous commitment to security and compliance training, it's really just one example of this overall relentless investment she seems to make in self-development. Her learning transcripts, looking at it from 2017 to 2023, it's not just, padding a resume. It looks like a structured, strategic effort to future-proof her leadership profile.
I agree. It reveals a very deliberate training strategy that actually evolves over time. You see it moving from foundational process mastery, then shifting to people leadership, and finally focusing on future tech and strategic planning.
Okay, break that down.
Well, early on, there's extensive focus on IT service management and quality. She completed the ITIL 2011 edition foundation, obviously critical, plus numerous courses on project management using PMBOK standards, risk management, quality assurance, the fundamentals.
So this ensures that her ability to fix things like at Transocean and build things like at Reynolds is underpinned by the most rigorous global process standards. She really mastered the how before she moved deeper into the who.
Exactly. And this is where I think she distinguishes herself from just being a highly certified technical manager. Concur with mastering process, she made a really heavy investment in the human element.
The people side.
Yeah. In 2017 and 2018 alone, she took multiple courses covering emotional intelligence, things like owning your emotions, building self-management skills, advanced communication too, managing difficult conversations, communicating assertively, and specific leadership development topics, including gender and leadership, choosing to lead as a woman, and leading business execution. Really focused stuff.
It seems like she recognized early on that technical competence, well, that's just table stakes at a certain level. Executive leadership requires mastering the politics, the empathy, the high-stakes communication. And this supports her later philosophical stance that emotional intelligence is the critical separator between just being a boss and being a true leader.
Absolutely. And then the curriculum shifts again towards strategic long-term vision. She completed courses on IT strategy essentials, how you align IT goals with business goals, create a roadmap, and significantly, multiple modules focused explicitly on artificial intelligence, AI.
AI. So she was looking ahead.
Definitely. Courses on top skills in AI, VIP day blueprints involving AI. She was clearly positioning herself for the next wave of digital transformation, integrating AI into her thinking.
So we can tie this really diverse training directly back to her professional history, right? Let's analyze the requirements for a high-level technical role, maybe like application support manager.
Okay.
Source material defines that role as needing expertise in team leadership, incident and problem resolution, process development, XML monitoring, cross-functional collaboration. Pretty standard list for a senior role.
Right. And her career history, it confirms she possesses every single facet of that high-level support role. Her time as an IT manager at Enact Mortgage Insurance covered the full spectrum of asset management, security administration.
Transocean proved incident resolution under pressure.
Reynolds and NBC Universal proved enterprise-level process implementation, the ITEL stuff, SLA management. She doesn't just meet the requirements for a role like that. Her career trajectory basically established the playbook for what that elite role requires.
Okay. And her capacity for rapid technology adoption and scale, informed by all those years of IT strategy training, it seems perfectly encapsulated in that short but high-impact role she had. VP Operations for Next Gen Contact Solutions, also VP of HR and General Manager. That was December 2024 to February 2025.
Yeah, a brief but intense stint.
It looks like building a modern company from the ground up using cutting-edge tech.
Exactly. That 3-month engagement, it highlights a rapid strategic integration of all her skills, operations, HR strategy, tech integration in a totally virtual setup. She built and scaled a 100% virtual call center.
Wow.
Using AI and cloud platforms, managing global hiring compliance, while integrating AI for optimization, even predictive analytics. It's a snapshot of modern leadership in action.
It really is. But it raises a critical question, doesn't it? How does someone who has clearly mastered corporate execution, technical build-outs, often within the, let's face it, rigid structures of Fortune 500s, how do they transition that elite mastery to influence and lead others outside that established hierarchy?
Mm-hmm. Good question.
That kind of transition, it feels like it requires a really defined, maybe non-negotiable personal philosophy, which is exactly what she seems to have codified in her book.
Right. This section, I think, reveals the ethical and the emotional engine that's driving Bonita Payton's candidacy. We're moving beyond just the technical metrics now, getting to the core of character and integrity. Her core philosophy, she calls it the Bonita Standard, and it forms the basis of her best-selling book, Leadership Isn't for Everyone.
Yeah, and that title alone, Leadership Isn't for Everyone, it's stark. It's challenging.
It is.
She argues that leadership, real leadership, it demands capacity, stamina, and courage. It's not just about getting a title or having seniority. She even says she wrote the book because she was, quote, tired of watching great people walk away from leadership, not because they couldn't lead, but because the system was never designed for them to thrive. That's a powerful statement.
It really is. And she provides this visceral contrast between just being a boss and being a true leader. A boss, she says, manages from afar, hides behind the title when accountability comes knocking.
Whereas a
leader, in her definition, leads from the trenches. She emphasizes leading with data, yes, but also with empathy and unshakable integrity. She even notes she has actively put her own job on the line to protect her team from unrealistic demands coming down from senior executives.
Wow.
That's the definition of loyalty earned through service, right?
Yeah.
Not just demanded because of rank.
I think the key insight for you listening here is how this philosophy applies operationally. She explicitly states, I don't guess, I gather facts. I don't assign blindly. I learn the task before I ask my team to touch it.
Mm-hmm. Connects back to her roots.
Exactly. It goes right back to her technical roots. She understands if a system is failing, it's often the process, not the person. So she empowers her team by giving them protection, yes, but also knowledge.
And her resilience, the unbreakable part, it seems built on specific high EQ personal tools. Tools designed for continuous self-accountability and, importantly, preventing the kind of burnout she apparently experienced herself working those 15 to 16-hour days back in corporate America.
Okay, let's analyze these tools. They sound like really practical leadership techniques. First, there's the mirror check.
Right.
She asks herself, literally, if I weren't the leader, would I follow me right now? And if the answer is no, she commits to adjusting her behavior immediately. That forces authenticity, fast self-correction.
Then there's strategic silence. In high-stakes meetings, crisis situations, her advice is say nothing, watch everything, document it all.
Interesting. Why?
It buys time. It lets you gather data objectively. It prevents emotional escalation, and it provides leverage when you do need to make those high-consequence decisions. It's the same kind of analytical precision she must have used assessing the I love you virus risk or planning the NBC Universal turnaround, observation before action.
And perhaps the most powerful anecdote, it grounds the tool she calls Boundaries Built From Burnout in, well, raw emotional experience. She talks about pushing herself relentlessly, often feeling like she had to outwork everyone because she was the only woman or the only Black person in the room.
Yeah, that pressure is immense.
And her breakthrough, her realization, came via her emotional support labradoodle named Honey.
That's right. It's a great story. Honey, apparently, didn't care about deadlines or deliverables, but just demanded presence, attention, forced breaks.
Right.
And it taught her that she had to stop when her body needed it, that she needed boundaries built out of, well, reverence for the life she almost forgot how to live while climbing that corporate ladder. And that wisdom, born from that necessary retreat, that's what enables her to sustain these high-pressure roles now without projecting her own stress and trauma onto her team. That's crucial.
This whole philosophical grounding, it connects directly to her views on personality and self-awareness, too. She really urges leaders to use tools like behavioral assessments, DISC, Big Five, True Colors.
But not for labeling people, right?
No, exactly. Not for putting employees in boxes, but for achieving self-awareness as a leader and avoiding what she calls lazy management, just blaming the person instead of understanding the dynamics.
And she states it unequivocally. You cannot outlead your personality. Leaders must know their inherent psychological profile. She identifies herself, for instance, as a red-blue leader.
Okay, red-blue, what does that signify for her?
Red signifies boldness, drive, getting things done. Blue signifies that analytical rigor, empathy, process focus.
Got it. A mix.
Yeah. But here's her crucial insight. Under stress, leaders tend to double down on their dominant color, and that amplifies their blind spots.
How so?
Well, a highly analytical blue under stress. They might become paralyzed by data, unable to actually decide. A highly driven red under stress. They can become tyrannical, just running roughshod over people to hit the goal.
Oh, okay.
So her continuous training in emotional intelligence, it taught her how to leverage the strengths of her profile, that red-blue combo, while actively mitigating the dangers that come when stress amplifies those tendencies.
Therefore, the focus on emotional intelligence, EQ, it really is the separator. She teaches, you can't lead people if you can't handle people.
Fundamentally.
EQ involves regulating your own emotions under pressure, reading the room, knowing how to give corrective feedback without shaming someone or crushing morale. That internal awareness, that seems to be the ethical engine that allows her technical execution and crisis management skills to actually succeed without burning out her teams in the process. Okay, so her pivot away from those full-time corporate roles towards entrepreneurship with Bonita Payton Consulting and She Rises Publishing, this doesn't feel like a slowing down at all.
No, not really. It feels more like a strategic culmination of the whole 30-plus years, allowing her to deliver that Fortune 500 level expertise, but as a highly concentrated, portable, high-impact product. Without all the corporate overhead, perhaps.
Yeah, it frames her deep operational roots, her strategic acumen as this premium service. She positions herself as an elite 2% business consultant, a tech systems powerhouse.
Mm-hmm. And the consulting offerings themselves, they're a direct productized reflection of her entire corporate career, aren't they?
Absolutely. IT consulting and digital transformation, implementing ITIL, cloud solutions, operational stabilization. Check. Professional and business consulting strategy, AI integration, systems optimization. Check. And the Digital Skills and Training Academy basically transferring her knowledge. Check. It's all there.
And the structure of her services, it seems to reflect that confidence and speed that must have been honed during those high-stakes crises we talked about. Consider the 7-hour VIP day concept.
Right. That sounds intense.
It does. It's positioned as a surgical, highly focused, high-impact consulting service, aimed squarely at eliminating bottlenecks and providing immediate implementation support. Fast results.
This model feels like a direct product of the pace required during, say, that 5-hour remote transition or the 3-month turnaround at NBC Universal.
Exactly. High-level clients, and she's trusted by names like ExxonMobil, Cardinal Health, ITC Holdings, big players. They often don't need months of analysis. They need fast, decisive problem solving.
So the promise is clear, immediate. 3 powerful results in just 7 hours. Clarity, a tailored strategy, and immediate implementation support. Very focused.
And the testimonials seem to reinforce that speed and impact. Andrew Broderick, for instance, credits her with turning vision into action on a large software migration project, emphasizing the execution speed. Chris McGrath highlights her blend of quick action and strategic thinking back at Cardinal Health, noting she ensures long-term structural solutions, not just putting on immediate Band-Aids.
And that capability, delivering both speed and depth, that's precisely why her experience is considered elite, right? It's rare.
Very rare. Finally, we absolutely have to look at She Rises Publishing, founded in April 2025. This doesn't feel like just a sideline business. It feels like the ultimate statement of legacy, of purpose-driven leadership.
How is it described?
It's described as an unapologetic, purpose-fueled imprint, designed specifically to amplify unfiltered, fearless, and unforgettable voices. Particularly, she emphasizes, women and people of color.
Okay, so this connects her entire career trajectory right back to that philosophical grounding and leadership isn't for everyone.
Exactly. The publishing house was built, she states, not just for commercial reasons, but explicitly to leave a blueprint of leadership for her daughters, for their generation. A legacy forged with purpose and integrity, not just shaped by corporate pressure.
It feels like the ultimate expression of a leader who views her mastery, her power, not just as a personal title or achievement, but as a tool for systemic change.
Well said. Her entire journey from those technical trenches right up to the CEO suite.
Yeah.
It really is a continuous lesson in how you build a career that's both intensely specialized and incredibly broadly strategic at the same time.
Hashtag outro.
So we started this deep dive promising to synthesize Bonita Payton's 30-plus years of experience into, well, a blueprint for elite leadership. And what we found, I think, is this rare 3-part standard.
First, deep technical operations mastery, proven time and again in crises like the I love you virus, in greenfield IT builds. Second, sophisticated, continuous leadership training, focus heavily on emotional intelligence, strategic governance. And third, that radical integrity-first philosophical foundation, the Bonita Standard, which protects her teams and seems to drive systemic change.
Yeah, her journey really confirms that elite leadership, it's not just a linear path you achieve through seniority alone. It seems earned. Earned through the willingness to repeatedly step into the highest stakes, often the most broken environments.
Like stabilizing that $5.2 billion IT program.
Right, or executing a 5-hour global remote transition under immense pressure, and applying intelligence, process rigor, and that unshakable integrity to rebuild systems and protect the people who rely on them. She consistently demonstrates the capacity, the stamina, and the courage needed to carry the weight of global service delivery.
And the ultimate lesson, I think, from her career, her education, her philosophy, it centers on that radical self-accountability. Bonita Payton asks every leader, through her mirror check, that single piercing question that just cuts through titles and seniority.
Yeah.
If I weren't the leader, would I follow me? Powerful question.
It really is. And that leaves us, and leaves you, the listener,
Yeah.
with our provocative closing thought today. If your entire career history, your technical mastery, your strategic training, your core leadership philosophy, if it were all condensed down into a single, unbreakable, unapologetic, unstoppable manifesto, what legacy would that show you're building today? That ultimately is the standard of leadership we've been discussing.